welcome to another episode of Illinois Corn TV. My name is Haley Bickelhop, and I'm the Policy Communications Manager at Illinois Corn. On this show, we bring you informative ag interviews positioning Illinois farmers to grow. As usual, we've broken the show into two parts, and we'll start with our featured interview, Terry Johnston. Terry is a development officer at Farm Rescue. This week, we discuss family farms facing illness, injury, and natural disaster and how they can get help. So let's jump into the interview. Hi, Terry. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think you're going to have a lot of information today that our members are really interested in hearing. Can you start by describing a typical scenario where Farm Rescue assists a family farm?
Sure, I sure can. And thank you so much for having me. I love to tell people about Farm Rescue. So it can be for a number of different reasons that we would assist a family. One of those major regions is health. So whether it's an illness or an injury, if for whatever reason the folks are not able to get a crop in or out or make hay, feed livestock, those types of things, that is where Farm Rescue and our volunteers can step in with equipment and help. Also, there's major disasters that also happen. And so that could be a fire where their machine shed burns down and all their equipment is lost, or a flood. And recently, this past spring, a year ago, we helped a number of families in the wake of some devastating tornadoes. That's another case where we were able to come in. And of course, those things oftentimes happen last minute in season.
Yes, and what are some of the biggest challenges Farm Rescue faces in providing these resources that you're talking about to families who need it the most?
Well, actually, you're helping with one of our major ones right now, and that is awareness. If folks don't know that we're here or what we do or how to get a hold of us, that is a major barrier to us helping them. And so we appreciate everyone helping us get the word out to the families and helping them become aware about Farm Rescue and what we do and how they can get a hold of us, and trust also. So we have highly trained, efficient volunteers and up-to-date equipment, and we can help them get the job done for them as well as they can do it themselves. And so they can trust us that we can come in and help them with their planting or harvesting or feeding livestock and make sure that they get through that crisis okay.
Yeah, and this sounds like such a mission-driven organization. How did you get connected to it? I'd love to hear your personal side of that.
A former colleague had discovered Farm Rescue and went to work for them as their operations person for the Corn Belt states here, and they were looking for another person, a development officer, to come on board. I inquired and spoke with the Farm Rescue team, and was blessed enough to be able to join the team just over a year ago, and it's been a very awesome experience.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And it's great to hear that there's such great people like you working for so many of our farmers. So beyond the immediate crisis, does Farm Rescue offer any additional support or like long-term assistance for families, or what does that look like?
The goal of Farm Rescue is to help a family through a really tough time, get them on the other side, and keep them in business long-term. So longevity, legacy, and business continuity play a very large role in why we do what we do. We also have other different types of organizations and companies that we have partnered with and we collaborate with. And so if they need some long-term counseling, maybe some financial help, some other planning needs, we can help refer those folks to those other organizations just to make sure that the family's needs, both short-term and long-term, are met.
Definitely. And in your experience, what are some of the most impactful ways Farm Rescue makes a difference in the lives of these farm families?
Generally when we show up to help a family, they're going through a pretty tough time. And so, we want to be able to come alongside them and help them focus on recovering from whatever they're doing.
I know a lot of our farmers are really supportive of other farmers. And I was curious, does Farm Rescue have a volunteer base? How do they ensure, if they do have volunteers, that they're trained for these types of situations?
First of all, we like to compliment, the neighbor helping neighbor. That was the premise that we were formed on and based upon back in 2006. We were founded. We have a very large database of over 600 volunteers from 49 states that have graciously donated their time and resources to helping these families when they need it. And so we are able to very quickly, with our awesome staff, get the volunteers rounded up and ready to go. And they have gone through a vetting process, a training process. We also work our volunteers in teams. So we'll have kind of a team leader and then a couple more experienced folks, and then maybe some folks that haven't maybe done that particular activity before, and then they can kind of learn as they go.
And if we have a farmer that wants to get or is interested in getting involved, what can they do to be involved?
Yeah, so they can go to our website and sign up as a volunteer. It'll ask them a series of questions like what experience do they have? What do they like to do? They can kind of rate themselves on the various tasks that we complete. Maybe they want to give a certain amount of time per year, so many days or so many weeks, and maybe the time of year that works best for them. Maybe they want to work opposite of their own working season. Once they sign up, then we can get them through some training videos and some in-person training just so they're comfortable.
That's great. We'll be sure to share that message with a lot of our members. I was curious, do you have any, personal stories or any stories that you've heard of farm rescue really making an impact on a specific family?
Well, yeah, so many probably I couldn't choose one. I've been to a lot of trade shows and conferences, and each family has a different story and a different reason of how they're blessed or appreciative of our volunteers coming in. And so many have told me after the fact how grateful they were that how awesome our volunteers were and how they came along and there was a hug when it was needed or a listening ear. So yes, we get the work done, but our volunteers are the most compassionate, empathetic, hardworking, selfless folks you'll ever meet.
That's great. I love there was a hug where it was needed. I think we could all use a couple more hugs to brighten our days. What message would you like to convey, to the broad public about the importance of supporting our families, whether it's, emotionally or physically, with organizations like the Farm Rescue?
Obviously, we all support farm families by buying food and supporting the community. But this is a way that people can give of their time or their money, whatever is best for them, to keep the family farms going. As I mentioned, our goal is to allow the family to get through a tough time, come out the other side, and have their business intact, their legacy intact, so the next generation can take over. By supporting Farm Rescue, you're supporting family farms and their ability to, when a tough time comes, make it through and keep going. And it's immediate satisfaction. You can go to our YouTube page or follow us on social media and see testimonies of the families that have gone through a crisis and received help from Farm Rescue, and also the volunteers that have helped. It's one of the most amazing things I've seen. It's quite the mission we're on.
Definitely. I know that we're at Illinois Corn a sponsor and supportive of Farm Rescue in a lot of different ways. And we are just really glad to hear. Thank you for being here and just sharing all the great work you're doing. I think the support is often needed at, the times it's needed most. And so we're really glad that you are in the position that you're in and able to help our farmers. So thank you, Terry. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I would tell folks to go to our website. It's loaded with good information. It's farmrescue.org. So folks can go there to volunteer. They can refer a family that they feel like could use our help. They can apply for assistance there and also donate. So please, when you get a few minutes, maybe check out our website. And we're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Follow us and share our family stories with others so that we don't miss anybody.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Terry. We're glad to be able to have you here today.
It's completely my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now let's move on to part 2, not to be corny. In 2023, Illinois had 145 tornadoes equaling over $2 million in property damage. which is a non-laughing matter. Thanks for listening to another episode of Illinois Corn TV, where we deliver insightful ag interviews positioning farmers to grow. Stay tuned for more content every week, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.